Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston Station, we are ready.
Dylan Mathis, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Dylan Mathis from the new Space and Solutions Conference in Seville, Spain. How do you hear me?
Hey Dylan, I've got you loud and clear. Excited to speak to you guys today.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Nichole. I know you're just getting your space legs. Thanks for your willingness to meet with us today. Tell us, how was the ride up to station?
Oh man, the ride was awesome. It's probably the coolest thing I've ever done in my whole life. It felt like we were being slingshotted off the Earth. I flew F-22s, a very powerful jet, and it was way better than that. I can't say that too loud with all my pilot friends, but just feeling the acceleration, it felt like the Earth was falling away from us, and then the stage separation, we all kind of got thrown in our seats and then immediately back into our seats as the second stage lit off. So the coolest thing I've ever done in my life.
Outstanding. That's so exciting. We're glad that you all made it there safely. And I know it's a whirlwind for you guys because Butch and Sonny and Nick and Carol are getting ready to come home. So how's everybody doing up there?
Oh man, everybody's doing great up here. It's been a busy and exciting. There's a ton of energy on the ISS right now. So we're doing a bunch of handover, learning all the tips and tricks for everything, and they're getting their Dragon ready, Freedom, to go home. I think there's a lot of excitement. There's, obviously it's always sad when you leave the space station and have to go back to gravity, but because you can't do things like let go of your mic.
I was hoping you would do that and I didn't have to ask. Thank you very much. We are going to take some questions from some folks here that are on the stage with me. So I'd like to turn it over. Lorena.
Thank you. Hello, Nichole. What inspirational message do you want to send to all women, young women and girls who may be listening and dreamed of being where you are?
That's an awesome question. I love answering this question, to little girls, to little kids everywhere. I always like to say, just figure out what you love to do. Find something you're passionate about and go do that thing. For me, I loved math, and so I continued to study math all through college, and I loved flying. That was one of my big things as well. And so I knew from an early age I wanted to try to be an astronaut, but not just an astronaut. I wanted to be a pilot as well. And so I worked really hard and kept trudging along. So the other part that I'd like to talk about is being a good team player. So find yourself a good team, go learn how to take care of people. That's one of the biggest things. So if you're willing to work hard and be a good team player, you can get anywhere you want in life.
Alvaro.
Hi, Nichole. What do you think you will miss the most?
What will I miss the most? I think, I soaked up a lot of sun and beach time and tried to just get as much fresh air as I could while I was still on Earth. So I think that's probably the one thing I'll miss the most. The view up here is amazing. So we get the best view of the whole world. We already got to see the aurora today, which was pretty amazing. But I think I'll just miss, having the sun and the wind on my face. That's probably what I'll miss the most. The food's not too bad either. So it's been pretty awesome so far.
Okay, Jorge.
Hi, Nichole. It's really exciting to meet you. It's really fascinating. I think you guys are about 400 kilometers above us, so it's really incredible to be having this conversation with you. I just wanted to ask you, can you tell us a little bit about the work you do? How do you describe it? Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're exactly right. We're about 400 kilometers above the Earth right now and right over you guys. The work we do, so, we wake up, we've got about 2.5 hours of scheduled exercise each day. That's to maintain our bone and muscle mass. And then outside of that, we do a ton of science, both science on the human body and then also science. We have a ton of what we call payloads or racks with all sorts of different science experiments inside and outside the space station. In fact, at any given moment, we've got over 200 science experiments inside and outside space station going. We do a lot of Earth observations, so we'll take pictures of the Earth for science and for scientists, and we'll get specific requests for those types of things. And then also we do a lot of maintenance. We got to keep this thing running. It's like a house, so things break and we got to fix it and make sure it's still up and running and keep this this national lab continuing to go and continuing to work. So that's kind of what we do on a daily basis. We're scheduled for about 12 hours a day. We get exercise in meal times, and then we get to take pictures and go enjoy that beautiful view.
That was a perfect segue, Nichole, into my next question about pictures. The famous Don Pettit is up there with you right now, and I'm sure he's taking a lot of pictures. From what Billy Nate has told me, it's a lot. I think he's going to break records again. Learn what you can from him. He's a wonderful, wonderful photographer. Have you been able to take any images yet so far?
The only pictures I've taken so far are of my other crewmates. I'm looking to get a handover from Don, so we're excited. We get about a month with him of handover, so I can't wait to learn everything that he knows and try to soak up just a little bit so that I can take some amazing pictures. I've been in the cupola a couple times, but I've been just too fascinated with the views so far to actually dig in and take some pictures. I'm sure I'll get there, but I'm just kind of soaking in the whole experience right now and the fact that I'm floating here. So
wonderful. Let me ask you about science for a little bit. That's one of the big main reason we are on space station. Can you tell us about any of the science you have coming up?
Yeah, definitely. So I personally signed up for a bunch of experiments. So I'm really excited to start working on those. I'm doing a muscle stimulation experiment. So we're going to see if we can preserve some of that muscle mass towards the end of the mission, which would have, benefits for long duration spaceflight, but then also back on Earth for people who potentially, can't necessarily move as well. Or don't have the resources. So another one, I'm doing a cartilage study, doing bone on ISS. I'm about to go put a headband on that's going to measure my core temperature for the next 36 hours. It's called T-Mini. It's a European Space Agency study. So just all sorts of different things. The core temperature one, obviously we want to know how the body reacts in the space environment and the radiation environment, and then learn how to help mitigate those things in long duration spaceflight as we try to get onto the moon and then onto Mars eventually, but also then take those back to Earth. Another one I'm excited about is some veggie experiments. Recently we had lettuce up here, and just looking at the way that lettuce reacts with different hydration techniques and different levels of hydration, and that's going to inform our agriculture back on Earth as well. So really exciting stuff.
Wonderful. We're going to have a couple more questions here. Let's go back to Lorena.
Thank you. How is the work currently being done in the space station helping preparation for future deep space human exploration?
I think I heard your question right. Just talking about ISS utilization for furthering humans in space. Was that the question?
Correct.
Yeah, so, I talked about a lot of the human science that we're doing and how do we get humans further into space, but we're also doing, things like 3D printing cells. So we've got the biology 3D printer up here, trying to figure out how to print, small capillaries and things in microgravity. When you take gravity away, you often can see the smaller processes that kind of get squished by gravity. So that's just one example. We're also doing metal 3D printing. So how do we use metal 3D printing as we land on the moon and on Mars? And how do we build things? Maybe we build a tool that we might need that something breaks and, we don't have a resupply mission just around the corner. So lots of different testing as well in terms of just hardiness of different equipment. How does different equipment react up here in the microgravity environment, but also radiation environment? It's a pretty harsh environment out here, especially on the outside of space station with temperature swings and things like that. So really trying to learn a lot about materials and equipment and how do we make things hardy as we get, further and further away from space without the ability to resupply.
Alvaro.
How will you stay connected to your family while you are on your mission?
Sorry, it's a little tough to hear. You said, how's my family doing while I'm on my mission?
How will you stay in touch with your family during the mission?
Yeah, so it's actually pretty cool. The space station is pretty advanced. We have, internet up here, and so we can email. We've got phones, so I can call. You can't call station, but station can call you. So I've already talked to my close family members since I got up here. We have the ability to send invites to do kind of like a FaceTime equivalent. So there's tons of ways to stay connected up here. It's pretty amazing the technology advancements. From the first, from 50 years ago is this year is the anniversary of the Apollo-Soyuz missions. So it's amazing to see the advancements we've made and the ability that we have to just call home whenever we want or need.
Jorge.
Hi, Nichole. I know this is probably very typical, but I can't help asking you, what's the most striking thing you see when you look at the Earth from up there? And secondly, since we're all concerned about climate change, do you see from up there any of the vulnerabilities of our planet? Can you visualize any of the things that we know are changing? Thank you.
Oh man, for me, I think the aurora was probably the most stunning thing that I've seen so far. I've seen the aurora once, maybe twice, my whole life, and then today we were flying over northern America and Canada and got to see it. It was absolutely amazing. Also saw a massive thunderstorm today, which was pretty amazing, and the weather patterns. But I think one of the most stunning things is that there are no borders when we look out at the Earth from the cupola. It's just one world, one humanity, and you can't tell where one state or country ends and where the next one begins. You can just see the borders, you can see the difference between the ocean and the land, and that's about it. So it's pretty stunning, and it's a good reminder for me that we are, we're all in this together, and it's just one world. And then for the climate change, I think for me, seeing the weather patterns has been pretty amazing so far. And, we'll keep an eye out, as we go through hurricane season and all sorts of things. So I think that there's a lot to be seen from the Earth, or from the station. And I'm looking forward, to taking pictures of the Earth and helping inform scientists with our Earth observations from up here.
Nichole, you kind of already answered the question I wanted to ask, but I'll formalize it a little bit more. We have something called the overview effect that occurs with astronauts when they've seen seen Earth from space. And how has that changed you so far? I know you're very early in your mission, but I know that there's some aha moments probably that have occurred.
Yeah, actually, we had a 28-hour phasing. So after launch, we were in the Dragon, orbiting the Earth for 28 hours, and the Dragon has 2 windows. And so, I think Kirill and I were kind of glued to the windows for most of the trip up here. But it's just it's tough to explain, but it's life changing. I've seen the Earth from 30, 40,000 feet, almost 60,000 feet, but 400 kilometers is just different. You get to see the atmosphere, and you can see the change in the Earth, and you can see the weather patterns and the way things move, and again, you can see that we're all one humanity. There's no real border. There's no real difference between any of us. It's just we're all living on this one Earth together. It's been pretty amazing.
Outstanding. We're going to switch gears and go to something completely different now. Tortillas. We have a factoid that we had in the presentation I gave earlier, and it said last year that 3,110 tortillas were consumed. Tell us about why that is such a common instrument to use, if you will, in space.
Oh man, it's funny. It's funny that you say that, because I unpacked a drink package this morning, and there were tortillas in the drink package. So we definitely get a lot of tortillas up here, that's for sure. But it makes them tortillas are an easy vehicle for things. So you could all of our food comes in a small bag, right, that you either heat up or rehydrate. And so unless you want to eat it with a spoon out of a bag, the tortilla makes it nice and easy. With surface tension, you can just put something on that tortilla. It holds together, and it kind of becomes a nice vehicle to hold everything. And you can get creative and fun with your food. Sunny made this amazing cake this morning with Cinnabons and some fruit, and we found some chocolate, and we had this wonderful cake if you get creative. So I think that's where the tortillas come from, is just creative astronauts figuring out how to do fun things with their food.
Okay, we're running close on time here, but because I know our KU is going to come out here in a few minutes, but wanted to ask you what we're doing on space station not only helps us here for commercialization of low Earth orbit, but helps us explore beyond. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So I've already kind of hinted at the human factors of getting beyond low Earth orbit. We want to get to the moon in order to get to Mars. But also, like I said, all of the hardware and equipment, we have to test those things in low Earth orbit. And, we have a great test bed here where we can test things for short or long duration missions. And then we can kind of use that data and that information to extrapolate to how do we get to the moon, and how do we live there on the moon, and how do we build things on the moon. And then from there, how do we slingshot ourselves out to Mars, and how do we live autonomously without the ability to resupply, without the ability for immediate communications like we've got here. And so those are all problems that we have to fix and find answers for. How do we get food to last long enough? How do we grow our own food? So those are all things that we're doing here on space station in order to enable us to get to the moon and Mars.
Short question, is this your first solo PAO event?
Yes, this is our first PAO event of Crew 10, and I'm solo. So day one, knocked it out of the park, hopefully.
Outstanding. Folks, let's give her a hand. Thank you so much, Nichole. We really appreciate your time today. Outstanding. Godspeed. Thank you.
Station.
Thank you all so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes the event.
Thank you to all participants at the New Space and Solutions Conference. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.